Hello everybody and welcome to Northern Lights Teaching School Hub for your Early Career Framework Welcome event. I'm Zoe Thompson, the Director of the Teaching School Hub, and I'm joined by Sarah Hardy, our Deputy Director of the Teaching School Hub. For those of you who attended live on Thursday the 15th of September, just to say that this is not the same session you watched, although the information that will be shared will be exactly the same, but unfortunately the recording didn't record, so we are re-recording tonight. We are joined this evening by ECTs in both Year 1 and Year 2, both schools who have been with us for the whole of last year and have ECTs going through to their second year of induction, and also lots of new schools. So hopefully we'll provide enough information for both ECTs in their first and their second years. But equally, if there are any questions at the end, please get in touch with us to find out a little bit more. Okay, so during the session, we are going to talk a little bit about Northern Lights Teaching School Hub and just give you a brief introduction. We will share the ECF programme with you so that you understand what the expectations of all of the roles are over the course of the 2 years. We're joined tonight by head teachers, induction tutors, mentors, and importantly, our ECTs. So hopefully everyone takes something away and understands what the expectations are. We will have a look at the learning platform and how to access the dashboard and where you will find some key information on there that will help you. We'll share a CPD opportunity with you, and then we'll tell you what actions come next and give you some contact information if you would like to ask us some further questions. So just a brief overview of Northern Lights, because lots of you have worked with us for the last year now, but we are one of the 87 teaching school hubs in the UK, and we serve schools primarily in Gateshead, Sunderland and South Tyneside, but we have lots of schools working with us in partnership who are beyond our hub region, so right across the northeast. And we really do give that opportunity for teachers to access the best quality professional development all the way through their careers. So not just for ECF, but we offer ITT, we're an appropriate body, and we deliver MPQs and other CPD right up to kind of senior leadership and executive leadership. This is where you are at the moment. So this is where you fit in with our golden thread, and that is here at the Early Career Teacher Support. So the ECF fits nicely just after that ITT content framework. Once QTS is awarded, all ECTs are then statutorily required to complete their induction. And we now have a fully funded provider-led route which you have chosen to go down to support your ECTs in their first 2 years. So the framework in itself, and you might know lots of information already, so I won't go through all of it, but it is the framework that underpins those entitlements. So it's a training programme, it's not an assessment tool. Every ECT is entitled to this framework, and whether a school decides to develop their own programme using the framework, go down a more core route using the materials, or like yourself, doing the fully funded full induction programme, which has been written and devised by a lead provider, the entitlement stays the same. Now, pre-ECTs, we had NQTs. The acronym has changed, but all it stands for is that early career teacher, the teacher that is newly qualified and just beginning their profession. But there are some key changes that we'll go over now, and it would be worth downloading the ECF, so the framework, just to have a look at some of those learn that and learn how to statements, so you see what's underpinning all of the training that your ECTs or yourself, if you are an ECT, are focusing on each week. But just some of the main changes to highlight, you can see some on the screen, but some of the key are that it's now 2 years and not 1. Really, really important. You have 2 years worth of training, 2 years worth of support to begin your teaching career. There is no deadline on the beginning or ending of your induction. I know in the past you had so many years to complete it. You don't have that now. So there's no pressure. Therefore, if you do move schools, your circumstances change, you go part-time or you go on supply, and you've already started your induction, that is okay. Another main change is the reduced timetable. Because it's now 2 years, you have 10% reduced in year 1, which has always been the case, but then in year 2, you have 5% reduced timetable. So that is in addition to your PPA. Timetables therefore should reflect this, and that is the role of the induction tutor to coordinate that timetable and ensure that not only does the ECT have that reduction of their timetable, but that their mentor is designated, supported and being given protected time off timetable each week to meet with their ECT. That's another key change in the entitlement, and it is that the role of the mentor wasn't as defined in the old arrangement, and from September 21 there is now every school must have a mentor in place to support an ECT. This is an additional role which is separate from the induction tutor. When a mentor meets with the ECT, it's up to the induction tutor to negotiate, but it is highly suggested that that is during school hours. So it's during the day, during the working week, and not after school time. So it's not burdensome for either the mentor or for the ECT. Funding is a little bit different because now schools are funded for that release time of the mentor for year 2, and they get that back payment at the end of the programme. There are some changes to assessment. We are appropriate body for lots of you on the call or lots of you listening, and we will give you some more update and guidance on the changes to assessment and how it looks for you for appropriate body. And if you are with another appropriate body, I would definitely be speaking to them and gaining some understanding and guidance on the changes to the assessment due from you as a school and what's expected of you over the next 2 years. We're going to now have a little look at what the programme looks like itself, because tonight is all about the Early Career Framework Professional Development Programme and not the assessment service of the appropriate body. Sarah, I'll hand over to you to give a little bit more information on the programme and our lead provider who we're partnered with.
Hello everyone. So as Zoe said, this is us going through the programme, the Early Career Professional Development Programme, and the training provider that we work alongside. And that training provider is the Education Development Trust. Now, we had a choice as a hub as to who we would work alongside, and the reasons we chose the Education Development Trust were the materials. So when the hub looked at the materials of all the different providers, the EDT materials were the best ones that they came across, that the ethos and the culture matched that of the hub and what they wanted to get out of the training and the development programme. And also that the materials can be slightly flexible and adaptable in that you can look at them within the context of your own school and your own trusts, so that it really is bespoke training for your ECTs. So the programme, the content is split into 12 blocks. So within the first year, ECTs will cover 6 blocks, so that's 2 per term. And then again, in the second year, they have 6 blocks. Now, as you'll see, in year 2, the content is built upon, so they develop that mastery in these critical areas of practice. So yes, your ECTs might say, oh, well, we did this in my ITT training, or we did this in year 1, but actually it's really important that they're layering that learning. So yes, talk about what they've done at those different stages, but then this is all about embedding and using these strategies and the information that they've learned in practical scenarios within the classroom. Okay, so they're called blocks of learning, and there's a reason behind this, and that's because each block has 3 elements to it. So the first part is that the activities provide the opportunities to learn the theory behind what they're learning within that block. ECTs will then reflect, will then put into practice what they've learned, and then finally reflect on what they've done, thinking about what went well and what they can do next time as they continue their professional development.
Thanks, Sarah. We're going to have a little look now at how the year will look depending on whether you are a year 1 or year 2 ECT or a year 1 or year 2 mentor. So I did mention that there's multiple roles within induction, and that one of those is the induction tutor. The induction tutor doesn't have a training programme to follow with the early career framework, but the ECT and the mentor do. And that's why it is advised in the guidance from the DFE that the mentor and the induction tutor are two separate people, because they wear two very different hats and their role within induction is very, very different. If a school can organise that person so that that person can have a really good relationship with the ECT as mentor, follow the training programme, coach and support them through that training, but then equally put on that different hat of going in as a member of staff to observe, to judge against teacher standards, to assess against teacher standards, and to complete reports, then that is okay. But it is only in exceptional circumstances where that person would be both. So if you are both and want to chat about it, then please let us know and we'll support you. But to look at how the 2 years will look for ECTs, you can see on the screen that there are different forms of learning. This will all be in your handbooks, and lots of you will have that handbook already. But to make it make a little bit more sense, we have different forms of sessions and face-to-face learning. So you can see regional training first of all, and that comes in term 2 of year 1 and term 1 of year 2. And there are allocated hours which equate to a full day face-to-face conference delivered by facilitators who are trained by EDT and Northern Lights Teaching School Hub. So you will be given a date and time on your dashboard, which we'll show you shortly, of selecting that date so you can attend, and that will go into your school diary and you will have a full day worth of training. The local group sessions are 3-hour sessions. They're face-to-face. There are a smaller amount of ECTs present, and it is that opportunity to have that face-to-face delivery again, but then to network with other ECTs. And that happens twice in year 1 and twice in year 2. There will be multiple dates offered because there are smaller groups for this session, and they will be on your dashboard as well. You will then see the webinars and the self-study, and that is what you as an ECT will work on during your 10% or your 5% reduced timetable each week. So the way it works best for your ECT time is probably that an ECT gets some time on their own to complete their self-study and their webinars for around an hour, depending on if you are full-time or part-time, it will equate to. And then a mentor would join the ECT for probably around an hour to then deliver their session with them. And their session will be on their dashboard, and their session may follow what the ECT has been learning in their self-study, or it might be very different. But they, as a mentor, they will follow their dashboard, follow their learning and deliver a session, work with the ECT, discuss what they've been learning in their own self-study, set some actions, arrange a time to maybe drop in and evaluate what you've been working on, and that all happens in that second part of the session. It might not be as straightforward as doing it one after the other, and each school timetable is completely different, and that's okay. You can see in year 2, the self-study and webinars decrease because if we go from 10% to 5%, and that is reflective in there. Just to move on to the mentor, you can see it's very similar for the mentor, but the training element, which is delivered by a facilitator, is a little less than the ECT. So as they move to year 2, they don't have a regional training event again. It is a local group session in term 3. As a mentor, this programme is an opportunity for professional development for you. So it's a real privilege to become a mentor, and to become a mentor for an ECT through the ECF. And we want all mentors to really grasp that opportunity for that development, to really engage in the webinars, the reading and reflection, and to enjoy supporting an ECT throughout this process. We know lots of schools had fantastic induction training already before the framework, and that it's okay to embed that within your practice and within your mentoring. So if you have some really good things in school that you know work, As long as you are keeping that in kind of entitlement to the framework, you are using the weekly materials, it is okay to adapt and contextualise to meet the needs of your ECT and your school. What we wouldn't suggest mentors doing is looking at the reading reflection and webinars and then thinking we won't use that material, we will just use our own school material, because then that's not statutory compliant. But it's about being pragmatic and flexible and working as experts in your school. Just before we move on to looking at the dashboard, showing you where you access your material, where you book your events in, and what it will look like for you, we just want to make sure that you are aware that if you are with us for Appropriate Body, that the picture you see on the screen now is not the login page for your dashboard for Education Development Trust. So this will not get you your materials for the ECF. What this is the dashboard for ECT Manager. And you will have access to this page if you are an ECT or an induction tutor with us for Appropriate Body service. So this is where all progress reviews are saved, assessments are uploaded, and we communicate through this portal for Appropriate Body service. If you do have a login for this, then brilliant, but this is not the login you need. The online platform follows those green Education Development Trust colours and looks similar to that on the screen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little look at the online platform. It looks like that. And we're going to show you an example of a current mentor who is also an induction tutor, and we'll show you their screen and how it looks for them. There's been changes, and this will be really important when we show you that part. Sarah, would you share your screen and we will share some of the key elements of the platform?
Yeah. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can. So once you've logged in, you will see that you will be able to view your learning at the top of your page. Now, remember, this is a mentor page, and therefore you can see that this particular mentor has block 1, which is where all September ECT ones will begin, and they have completed 75% at the moment of that course. Now, each week you have, I think each block is around 6 to 7 weeks. So you can imagine in some half terms that you will have more weeks in your half term than you will have on study or materials that are given on the site. That gives you some flexibility to add in your own school induction, go through things such like safeguarding that isn't covered on this programme, that's much more specific to your school training, or you might want to look at curriculum or an area that is based around your school context. So use those additional weeks for that. You may also want to focus on an area that the ECT wants to look at in greater depth, wants to be challenged a little bit further with, and we'll show you where to access some additional materials if you want to use those weeks for that. The learning will continue across the top, so every time you get a new block, it will show you on there. And if you scroll down, Sarah, you can see that that visual that I showed you is on that screen, so you will have that as a reminder. You will have some useful links, the newsletters that get sent, your introduction to the programme, so there's an induction webinar on there. We urge everyone to watch that. It's only short. But as a mentor, there's also something really key, and that's above where you can see activity completion reports. Now, this is a new kind of offer from EDT, and what this allows you to do as a mentor is track engagement of your ECT or ECTs, because you may be mentoring more than one, for each of the blocks. So if you click on block 1, September 22, Sarah, please. It pulls up the ECT, so whether you're supporting one or multiple, and you can select who. You can see down the side, you can pick a specific activity they may have done, but it also shows you how many they've done. So there'll be a little tick in the circle to show you what they've completed. Now you will know, depending on when they get their logins, depending on which week we're on in the half term, where they should be up to, and that will give you an indication of whether they're on track, whether they need some extra support from you, or whether you need to maybe follow this up with an induction tutor if you're concerned that they may be falling behind, or they might need some extra time to catch up, or school need to put some support in. So it's a really, really key part of the dashboard. We at the Teaching School Hub will also track engagement. So we will know near in the end of block 1 and block 2 and further that if an ECT or a mentor is not engaging in the programme, we don't want you to fall behind. So we will be contacting you to support you through that, because we see an ECT version of this and a mentors, and it's really important that both parties in the programme complete their study. So if you just go back to the home page. So the other key part of the dashboard, if you don't navigate through it all, is the events calendar, and that's where you book onto your sessions. So when you click onto the events calendar, you may have lots of events or not as many, depending on your role in the programme, but you will see what's available to you to book. It's highlighted on your calendar, the available dates that you can book, and you go on to that and you click go to this seminar event, which is just underneath the status and times. And it will allow you to sign up. So you can see on the right hand side, you sign up with your name and press sign up. We then get confirmation that you are attending that session, whether it be your regional or your local group session, and you gain your place. Now, this is really important when it comes to local group sessions, because they are allocated depending on number. So when it gets to around 30, it may close and you would only be given the additional date. There's 2 dates on for each local group session, so you have the choice if you book it in fast. Really important to note that one of our sessions is for schools which are specialist provisions or alternative provisions, and that is led by a SEND specialist. So please, if you are in a mainstream school, don't select that cohort and take up one of those places, because they are specifically for the SEND cohort. Thanks, Sarah. While we're on that screen, I know we cover it in our presentation, but there's been some other developments, hasn't there, over the summer? So it might be worth just showing the Explore tab. And this is the screen where we've got lots of additional information. So EDT put on their podcasts that they find really useful for ECTs and mentors, blogs, event recordings if you have missed an event and need to catch up on a centrally recorded version, additional resources. So this is something they've added to support you with that kind of stretch. So when I mentioned there was spare weeks or an ECT needed more challenge, they will be in there. And if you, sorry, we hope they're in there. Are they in there? So we have a look. So it's classed as stretch opportunities. Let's see if we can find it to show you.
I think that's something they're going to be updating.
All right, so they're not there yet,
so
but I imagine
yeah,
it's going to be in the additional resources section.
Yeah.
What they also have is, if you are a mentor of multiple ECTs, all of the resources are in there for the whole of the 2 years, blocks 1 to 12. So if you are currently with an ECT2, but you need to support an ECT who's going to be on block 1, you can access as a mentor the pre-materials and the materials past the block that you're currently working on, to support that flexibility, because EDT have recognised mentors are mentoring multiple ECTs at different starting points. Thanks, Sarah. I think that's fab for the dashboard. I'll just reshare our PowerPoint. And we'll get back to where we were up to. Brilliant, thank you. It's really worth having a good play around and looking at everything, because it will give you a really good understanding of what's there, what's available to you, and there's lots of guidance on there and support. The other thing we're going to send you as a Teaching School Hub is an overview of the curriculum for the 2 years. So if you are a mentor or you're an induction tutor planning induction over the 2 years, then you can see what's coming up and where your school CPD might key in, or as a mentor, when you start to really know your ECT well, you know that where their starting point is, you will know from that curriculum overview where you might need to give a little bit more support if they've not had as much experience through their ITT, or where you think actually they're really, really good at this. We will cover this in less detail and we'll focus on another area. So we'll send that over to you as well, so you've got that to support you. Okay. As I said before, we're all here for support and we can all track that engagement and monitor. It's really important that ECTs and mentors are engaged, and we will support you with that as we go through. Okay, I've said originally that it's a real privilege to be a mentor, and we really believe that mentoring is really key in this whole new induction process. It is the golden nugget of the ECF because mentors deliver this programme on a weekly basis. They build a relationship with their ECT, and apart from the facilitated sessions that we provide and deliver, the mentors is really delivering that ECF with the ECT. So during the last year, the first year of the national rollout of the ECF, there's lots of things that we've picked up that we've worked with schools, we've had working parties, and we've identified what's made really great mentoring in the new framework. So just wanted to share some of these things with you. So protected time each week is really key. So it should be in the timetable. It shouldn't move unless there's exceptional circumstances in school, and it should be that same person meeting regularly. If the mentor can be the same person for the whole year or even the whole induction period, that makes a huge difference, because again, it's all based on relationship building, partnership building, and that trust that that person is going to support you on your good days and your bad days, because we all know as a teacher or an ECT, we don't always have amazing days, and there's days where we really need that shoulder to just say, this didn't work well, what can I do differently, and not be judged or kind of assessed against those teacher standards for that one particular lesson or day. It works really well when mentors prepare themselves. So use the materials, have watched their kind of webinars or read the reading around it, and then be able to adapt before they meet their ECT, so they're prepared. So when they're opening up their laptop and seeing their dashboard with their ECTs, it's not new. That because there's only 50 minutes to 60 minutes in their session, it's used effectively. When mentors and ECTs work together, that works really well. Something that's not in EDT's expectations weekly is a drop-in. This is not an observation. It's not a formal written kind of learning walk where it's going to be reported to anybody in school, but a drop-in just as a more evaluative, reflective time between the mentor and the ECT, we find works really well. So if there's something being discussed in that mentor meeting, it might be nice for a mentor to say, well, let me come in and say that next week and we'll talk about it and we'll unpick it together. Let me know when you're going to use that strategy. The ECT might say, well, actually, I'm going to use it in English on Wednesday. Great, I'll pop in for 10 minutes. We could even do some team teach, or we'll talk about it in our next mentor session. And if that's put in as an opportunity regularly, it works really well. Equally, for mentors to speak to other staff in school and arrange for an ECT to go and observe or drop in to their lessons and observe strategies, whether it's the same subject area, whether it is a different key stage or a different subject, that's not relevant. It's that understanding of great teaching and learning from each other. And also, like we've said before, don't do the job of the induction tutor when you're being the mentor. Please stick to that. It is a training programme that you can't pass or fail the ECF, but you can pass or fail your induction, and that's related to teacher standards. And that's two very, very different roles. Sarah, over to you.
Yeah, so as part of the mentorship that you're you mentors are taking part in. And as Zoe said, being a mentor is, it's key to the ECF and key to the ECTs to support them in their development. But a really important part of that is a peer-to-peer relationship, a buddy, which you will be paired up with by the end of this month, hopefully prior to your mentor's first meeting, which is next week, for those mentors who have ECT ones. So the process of pairing mentor peers together, basically what we're going to do is we're going to look at schools, we're going to look at experience, we're going to look at where you're situated and try to really make sure that you're paired up with someone who you're going to get the best working relationship with. It might not be somebody who's in your school, but if you are, an hour away from each other, you can meet virtually. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, which is part of your timetable, is that each year you have 5 hours of that peer-to-peer support. And during your sessions next week, the kind of final part of your session is to go through what this peer-to-peer relationship will look like, what training you will do, but then how you will work with your mentors. And it's time for you as a mentor. Obviously, you're there providing all of this support for your ECTs in school, and this is a support package for yourself as a mentor as well. So it's great, and that will, as I say, will be organised hopefully by the end of next week. The other thing to note is that if you are a new mentor and you're watching this video and you have an ECT2, so you haven't done the year 1 training, you need to sign up with your you need to sign up to the same cohort as your ECT. So if you have an ECT2, you also need to sign up to the year 2. Now, an induction webinar is available on the platform, which Zoe pointed out earlier, which will be really useful to watch that and get an overview of the course. But if you feel like you would like additional support from the Hub, we can offer that, and you'll just need to get in touch with us, and we'll be able to look at a bespoke package for you if that's something that you would like.
Thank you, Sarah. So rather than give you the dates of everybody's sessions, because we know that there'll be lots of different ECTs and different mentors in various cohorts over the 2 years, just as an overview, that this term, if you are a September ECT1 just beginning, then you have a local group session for both ECTs and mentors. If you are a September ECT2, so in year 2, whether you've been with us in year 1 or you've been with a different provider and you've moved, then you have a regional session, and this is for ECTs only. January ECT1s have a local group session, and they are a central cohort with EDT for last year. And April cohort have a regional session. Again, this is virtual because of small numbers, but all of the sessions will be on your dashboard. So please go on after watching this recording and check what's available to you. If you are a September ECT1, whether you are an ECT or a mentor, and you don't yet have access to the dashboard, please get in touch with us at the Teaching School Hub to let us know you don't have access yet. Let us try and support you with getting access and getting a login, and we can give you those dates via email or over the phone if you need them in preparation, because I know mentor sessions are coming up next week. So please contact us if you haven't had any access to the dashboard yet and need to pinpoint a date for mentor session that you can attend. If you are at ECT2, so you started this September, but you've already completed 1 year of your induction, our regional session is tomorrow, the 22nd of September, and it's all day. If you don't have access to the dashboard yet, it's really vital that you attend. So we will send you out the information for that date, but please contact us if you haven't yet had your login and couldn't say that you are attending that session. Okay, another thing that we want to share with you today, and I know it's been lots of information, we learn all about cognitive overload and working memory, and we've given you far more information tonight than you probably can take in. That's the pleasure of having the recording, and hopefully you'll watch it in parts. But we have a really exciting opportunity where we are offering additional CPD for ECTs in either year 1 or year 2 of induction. and that is a CPD course on grammar and punctuation. Now, if you were at the call live, we had Katie Hill, our Director of Education for Northern Lights Learning Trust, talking through this CPD. What we're going to do is we'll share with you some of the key elements of it, and we will then send you this flyer that you can see on the screen, which goes in vast detail about the course and the 3-part programme. But just to give you a little bit of an overview, it's an opportunity for all ECTs. So that is whether you are in early years, primary, secondary. Not only just secondary English teachers, we really feel this is important for any subject in secondary as well, because being a teacher of literacy, a teacher of English, we know is important for every teacher and not just for that English teacher. So if you are with us for appropriate body, the 3-part CPD will cost you only £25 for 3 parts. If you are not with us for appropriate body, the cost is still minimal at £40 because we really want ECTs to be able to access this CPD programme. So it is a 3-part programme. It comprises of 3 hours training delivered by Katie Hill, who is the Director of Education for the Trust, but has been in education for 25 years and has a vast experience of supporting with English across the region. The second part of the training is a taster session. So you get an opportunity to go into one of the Trust schools, into a Key Stage 2 classroom to observe the grammar and punctuation strategies that you've been learning about and that you've been looking at in action. And it's in that session, whether you are in Key Stage 1 currently, even early years or secondary, that we feel Key Stage 2 is a really appropriate year group or age range for you to observe. And we know that transition between Year 6 into Year 7 is key, and Key Stage 2 into Key Stage 3. And equally, working in early years or Key Stage 1 and knowing where your children are moving to and what's expected of them by the end of Year 4, Year 5, Year 6. So we will arrange that for you. And then the last part is a 1-hour virtual network where we can unpick what you've learned, talk about next steps, look at some priorities. The flyer will give you all the information you need about exactly what you will learn, and it will teach you not only skills of teaching grammar and punctuation, but also upskilling yourself for when you are writing school reports, communicating with parents and other professionals. The other opportunity and date for your diary is a fair that we are hosting with the region's research schools and curriculum hubs. And this is going to be at St James's Park on the 14th of November. It is on 2 till 5, but you don't have to attend for the whole duration. You can pop in at any point during that time, and you get a chance to go around the market stalls, find out about opportunities for you and your school with English hubs, maths hubs, Newcastle Research School, and lots more, as well as picking up some great resources. So we're going to have lots of people there. We'll give you more information as we know, and we'll send a flyer out for you to be able to sign up, but it will be completely free for you to attend. So pop the 14th of November in your diary if you fancy coming along. Okay, so lastly, we just want to go through some reminders. So please ensure that your timetables reflect the 10% for ECTs and around 1 hour mentor time with the ECT with some time to prepare. Make sure you signed up with an appropriate body, whether that be us or another appropriate body in the region, but that's really key. If you haven't been on the DFE portal yet and confirmed which route you've chosen and who it's going to be and filled in the ECT induction tutor and mentor details, please go on and do that. Contact us if you need any support. And as those CPD opportunities come available, please sign up. We'd love to continue to work with you a little bit further. Okay, I'll pop our contact details on the screen now, and we'll leave it on that note. Sarah, is there anything else you would like to mention before we stop recording?
No, I think that's covered everything.
Fantastic. We hope that it's been really helpful, but please get in touch with us if there is anything else that you need to know. Thank you.
Thank you.